Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Nerditorium live. This week, I'm Tejas. Other weeks, uh, I'm also Tejas, but I have Abhimanyu next to me. Below me is Dinkar, and on my left, but stage right, is Ruchi. No, that's wrong. Stage left is Ruchi. Hi guys, how are you doing?
Pretty good. It's raining.
All right.
Decently.
Okay, that's
It's
not
not raining
the
where we
that's
are.
not the excitement and the enthusiasm expected for a Tenet spoilerific spoilercast, guys. What
No, it's
happened?
exactly what Tenet did.
1 second, what happened? We used to love Christopher Nolan. We loved.
We love Christopher Nolan,
Remember
but we didn't
Dunkirk. Remember
love
the sheer
Tenet.
enthusiasm we exited the theater after watching Dunkirk.
I didn't exit any theater. I'm really responsible. I watched it at home because we're in a pandemic mode.
On Apple TV Plus, I'm sure, right? Legally.
Yes, really legal.
Okay, so I am disappointed because I thought everybody would be a little more excited about fucking Tenet, man. Tenet, a movie we've been speaking about for as long as Tenet has been speaking about Tenet. It was supposed to release in July. It did not. We were so disappointed, and then we didn't care for a bit because we were just like, other things are going on in the world. There was only one person who really cared about Tenet in all this time, and he's not here today. It's not Jishnu, it's Christopher Nolan. That's who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He really cared. He didn't care about the pandemic. He cared about it releasing in theaters, and he delayed everything. And he said, no, you know what? Tenet is going to release in a theater, and that's the way I want it. And it did. And then the movie came out. And this is the lukewarm response that it seems to have gotten. Why? We are here to understand why. Why Tenet? Why? What is going on? Guys, we were
Okay,
supposed to be
let's
excited.
begin with, did it have a lukewarm response before you went in? Even because by the time we watched it, we had been through quite a lot, because by the time we had access to it over here in theaters and on Apple TV Plus, we went through several cycles of like, oh my God, what is this movie going to be about? We've seen the trailers. We were like, oh shit, it's shot in India. Christopher Nolan went and checked out the Raymond store, as Jishnu witnessed. And eventually, by the time it came out, we went through several cycles of like, should this movie even be coming out? What are you doing, Christopher Nolan? Chill out. Let people watch your movie at home. We saw it released to some fair amount of criticism about it coming out in theaters at all. So,
Yeah,
were you
and that's
guys
the way it
excited
should
when you
be.
went in?
That's
Did
the
you
way
go
it
in
should
with
have been watched.
reservation?
The reason why this movie has done so poorly is because people saw it at home. Like Ruchi, tell us about your home watching experience of Tenet. Don't tell me about your review of the film. Just tell
You
us
got to
about
watch it on the biggest
watching.
screen possible, man. Ideally, like the way Christopher Nolan needs his movies watched is he would like it projected on the moon.
I was just gonna say that. Oh my god.
But I did project it, but now on the moon, thankfully, we have a pretty nice setup. So it's close to watching. It's bigger than a TV, but it's still not an IMAX.
Did you take a break? Interval?
No.
Good. All right.
You didn't get the proper theater experience then.
No, I mean, I was in the
You're
UK
taking
for a
it
year and a half. You don't have intervals there. So I'm
Precisely.
pretty-
Precisely. You gotta pee before the movie starts, guys, like the rest of the world does.
Or you are an idiot like me and you take a giant Coke to watch Avengers Endgame and just like sit there like on your hands.
But did it add to the like the urgency?
Of Avengers Endgame?
Yeah.
I mean, I was really sad and I had to pee. So it was just like a roller coaster of emotions. So I don't
Were
know.
they connected?
Yeah.
It was sad because you had to pee. It does
Yeah.
happen.
All right. Okay, enough fun. and
Anyway, yeah,
games.
Tenet, it was great at home. The home viewing experience was fine. There's nothing to complain about, which is what you should have done.
But Ruchi, you have a projector. You have a cinephile's, like
Setup,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, setup, and just the approach is to enjoy a film in the way that only the theater going experience can provide. For many people, when they are not like force fitted into the structure of cinema, which is like you show up on time, you have a designated like portion of the film to watch, then there's a bit of an interval, and then or in other parts of the world there's no interval, and then you're the lights are out, you're dedicated for like all 4.5 years of Tenet. That's the time period you need to be engaged. So what about the people who watched it like they were throwing on, say something like Doom 3. What
What's
about
wrong
those
with
For
people?
them, man. Let them do them. I
No!
think it's perfectly fine.
I
You
will
should watch
say
the
this.
movie the way you want. I
I will
completely
say this.
disagree with.
I probably would have enjoyed Tenet way more, like the movie way more, if I got to watch it with a shit ton of people.
Yes.
Because it was just my brother and I, and it was just. I mean, we watch a lot of things together. These obviously been my quarantine buddies. So now it's almost like we are finishing each other's reactions, even like
Aw.
it's just like, of course he's my brother. So yeah, so it was good, but I definitely would have wanted to watch it with like strangers because it was just like me being like, yeah, I know you think this is corny, and him being like, yeah, I know you think this is dumb, and so it was just like yeah, I know what you think already. So I would have definitely want to watch it with like
You guys
strangers.
are like Pietro and Wanda.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, except we're not twins, but very close in age. So.
Fair enough. Dinkar, tell us
Yep.
about your experience watching Tenet. Your
I
two
went-
experiences. You saw it twice.
I did. The theater experience was fine. It was relatively safe, I would say, because everyone was like fairly spread out. It was an empty theater, as safe as it could have been given the circumstances, and I survived. So there's something there. I think this movie is a better experience in a theater. That said, man, watch it however you want. I don't care. Watch it projected onto the moon or watch it on your phone screen. Fine.
On
It's
your
a movie.
phone screen.
Yeah,
Surely
I
we
think,
gotta
like,
draw the line somewhere.
Watch it on your
Classic.
iPod,
Watch it on your
iPod Touch for all I care.
Yeah, phones. That's how David Lynch was.
All right. All right.
Just
Enough
hold
of
the phone
you.
like
Enough
a
of you
little closer.
heathens. Now, let the experts, let the Brolans explain to you.
I'm gonna keep quiet for this.
Explain how to watch Christopher Nolan's Tenet or any Christopher
How?
Nolan film. Everyone, you go.
Let's go to cinema. Yeah. Actually, I just want to say one thing. I feel sorry for a lot of people because I think when Tenet opened, it was the first film to open in India during the pandemic, right? So a lot of people had bought like tea and coffee, expecting that they could walk inside the theater with their tea and coffee, but it's not allowed. So first time we went in, we had like a shit ton of tea and coffee, and they were like, "You can't go in," and we had to like just down it in
Just like shots
in like
of
2
yeah.
seconds. So that was a highlight for me. Just drinking that hot tea,
Why?
being all warmed up by that beverage, and yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay,
Enjoy.
so Abhimanyu is obviously a man of the people.
Man on the beverage.
So, but that's not. Of course, we decided to watch it in IMAX, socially distanced. That's totally fine. But it did not stop me or Abhimanyu from leaning over one seat to discuss the intricacies of such a complex film such as Tenet. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was looking for. I don't know what I was looking for in this film. I thought I was going in for what some people call a mindfuck film. That's what I wanted. I wanted to come out saying, "Bhai,
Kya setup hai?
kya setup,
Kya setup?
kya mindfuck tha bhai." That's what I wanted.
You need to come out going like, bro, let me explain this
Bro.
to you. Okay.
bro,
Bro, wait.
bro.
No, but you'd have to have like a girl next to you. It doesn't work otherwise.
Oh no. I would say the one thing that distinguishes Brolans from mansplainers is Brolans want to explain to everybody,
Yeah.
including
Bro,
other
let's
Brolans.
Brolans.
explain to bros.
Yeah.
Yes. And so of course we wanted to explain it to each other while
Yeah.
watching. While watching it. No, I will say this: the experience of going to the theater, since it was after such a long period of time, was amazing. It was a good distraction. It was good brain food. It was a movie. Let's put it that way. I thought, given the circumstances and the pandemic and everything like that, I quite enjoyed the overall experience.
I think we knew before going in what kind of film it was gonna be. Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna be like sci-fi with.
I think the
and
word
it's
you're looking
like-
for is
and so-
mindfuck.
Yeah, so knowing that going in, it's like expectations were there, and yeah, it was just fun. And I'm not gonna like debate if it's like loopholes and all that stuff.
No, because
it doesn't matter.
because he
really
likes
doesn't
it, he
matter.
doesn't want to.
Yeah, and I can't. Yeah.
No, I think it's fine. All right, since we have now discussed the ways in which we watched said film, let's talk about the film itself. just
My dog said no.
sorry.
My dog's probably like protesting.
Yeah,
Right
okay, what do you call it? There's a cat outside this door, and he's saying much of the same. Let us talk about this film. What were your expectations going into Tenet? Did you did you go in with really high expectations considering the filmography of this guy, and the fact that he's Dinkar has said before on our podcast that Chris Nolan is the Spielberg of our generation, making these big blockbuster IPs from scratch with great cinematography, great music, akin to Spielberg. Do you think when you go in for Spielberg, when you go in for a Nolan film, are you going in with like, oh man, I am excited, it's going to be great? Did you have really high expectations, or were they dull because of the whole waiting period between the release, the actual expected release, and the actual release?
They were amplified because of that. Because there was more time to talk about it. Everybody kept making videos after videos, more and more think pieces on it. People who'd seen it were leaking.
Love think pieces.
Okay. I don't like reading. So it was amplified actually. And it was really, really like we were like so hyped. And then when it was available on the internet legally, the moment it was, and then we watched it, and then we were like, okay, cool. We watched that, the movie that we've been talking about for over a year, and that's done.
So, if it wasn't amplified in such a way, do you think we would have gone in and gone like, oh, yeah, cool, that was a pretty good film?
No, I think it's still pretty mediocre.
Okay, all right. Dinkar, what about you?
I do think I still think he is very Spielbergian in many senses, but that is not, even if you are Spielberg himself, Spielberg thyself, that's no guarantee of filmic quality, right? Like my analogy at that point was that he is one of the few directors around today, and that's that you can literally count on the fingers of one hand, this many, who can create original films that still draw an audience before they're even put out. Like he's an IP to himself essentially. But I have always especially over the last few years, like post Dark Knight, he's had his hits and misses, and the great things about him and the things that he kind of tends to not necessarily mess up, but the things that he probably doesn't care about either, to be honest. So I went into the film itself with tempered expectations because I'd been seeing like months at that point of reviews saying, well, this movie is maybe not that great.
Yeah.
But also when I saw those reviews, I was like, sure, he was due for an L.
Dinkar, your phone has disrupted the
flipping out.
No, it's cool.
It's back. Yeah. I joined back.
It was quite a mindfuck what just happened. But anyway.
Oh no. I joined back and the tags still match. So we're good.
They do.
Yes, I was saying that when you see the criticism of Tenet, which I did both before I went in and after, it's stuff that you could have predicted happening. Like that these are issues that Christopher Nolan has fainted towards throughout his career. It's just that this one kind of puts all of them in one concentrated bunch and then puts a magnifying glass on it. So it's like he indulged his worst impulses. That said, just to be clear and say this at the outset, I enjoyed watching the movie.
Sure. Abhimanyu, what about you?
Like, every time you go for like a Chris Nolan film, you just kind of, he's all about that big spectacle, right? So as an audience viewer going into, you're going to see something different or something that you haven't seen ever before, because he keeps on saying himself, I make films for audiences, when a lot of directors are like, I make films for myself. But he's all about the audience. So going in, you're going to see something that you haven't seen before, which is what I'm always excited about, like every time.
So did you enjoy the film?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the right answer, you guys. What's wrong with you all? It was an amazing film. Anyway,
I said I enjoyed the film, but I wouldn't call it an amazing film.
All right, I want to say
I enjoyed the experience.
Exactly, it's a fun distinction to make. Where I enjoyed watching it both times because I think it has the experience of watching it great. set pieces, brilliant. Lots of fun to be had, including in like the trying to figure out what's going on and like passing out whatever's going on in the movie or whatever. But it is, I mean, like it's a nice shiny package. It's not like it's not a nutritional film. It's solid junk food.
Do you watch it with subtitles second time
No,
at home? Okay.
no.
And it was intelligible. You could
Uh,
hear the
I
dialogue.
Actually, that's a good question. I think so, but also I kind of knew what was happening in every scene already, so I don't know. Like, there's no point where I was like, "What just happened?" I think also probably because I already knew what was happening in every scene,
Yeah.
so maybe that helped.
Maybe.
Though some of those decisions are really freaking weird, man. Like the entire the sequence that happens on the
The
boat.
boat, right? Yeah.
They were at a nice, quiet dinner, and then they head out to noisy boats to discuss important plot points for no reason. While at the dinner, all
of
they
course, there's a reason, Dinkar. It's because when
And-
one boat turns around, it's supposed to be the turnstile movement. Come on, guys.
What?
Yeah, of course. Did
Yeah,
you
why
notice
is
two
that,
boats traveling in a parallel form, and then one swings around the moment he knocks this guy Kenneth Branagh off, and then he does the turnstile. Guys, it's
Like
it's
the-
subtext. Come on.
Like the infinity
No, it's not
symbol?
subtext if you just do one thing over and over.
Okay, anyway. Okay, listen.
I feel like
enough
I feel
trolling.
like Tejas is the one who wrote these articles.
That's
and like,
right.
Oh,
It
you
was
know,
me.
he wrote those articles that are like, oh, actually,
Okay,
women
all
are
right.
incapable
I'm
of
a-
understanding Goodfellas. Like,
I'm
he's
going
the
to
one-
provide some context here, okay? At the point of watching this movie, it was the only thing in my life I was looking forward to, all right? And I will say this. I will say this. I'm a bit torn when it comes to this film. I do believe that I'm not sure whether this film is going to stand the test of time like some of Christopher Nolan's other films. Like, I can always go back and watch like Prestige. I can go back and watch Inception. I can go back and watch Interstellar to a degree. But the thing about all of his films, like Abhimanyu said, is that yes, there's always something like really interesting in terms of like how he's shot it. The fact that there's absolutely no VFX in this. There's no green screen or visual effects shot. Like there's no CGI in this film is fantastic. It's like insane that everything you watch on the screen is real, and I find that like incredible. And of course, these are just like the way these movies are made. But of course, the story is one thing. For me, it's like everybody's kind of complained about Nolan's films being kind of like not having enough emotion, and it's like very technical. But I think his other films like Interstellar, which starts off as this really like hard science fiction thing, and then finally does a number on you and says, oh, it's actually love. That so I think Christopher Nolan is a bit of an emotional guy. Even that the other scene that I think about a lot is when Leo is kind of talking to Marion Cotillard, in limbo, and he looks at her and he finally says, you know what, you're not actually my wife, you're just a shade of my wife. I always think about that scene and think about like how actually that's an emotional crux of the film. And like Inception, for all its puzzle like intricacies, it's still got heart. And I feel like this movie is lacking that like in a big degree, except for barring a few scenes here and there. It didn't like move me emotionally like as much as I wanted it to, but at the same time it engaged me like intellectually. It was like really cool to try and figure out what the fuck is going on with this time kind of scene that's going on. For me, like engaging me on a different level, not an emotional level. And the thing about
May I make a distinction here? I would say it engaged you not intellectually, but mentally. Like if I can make that distinction.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, no, I agree. Yeah, mentally in the sense that it's like a numerical that I want to fucking solve. Like that's what I want to do.
Whereas Inception is more
Inception,
emotionally engaged.
Right? I think Inception like starts off as this like here's this puzzle, here's this thing, and here's the plot kind of driving the entire thing. Like how the plot works is the story of the film. And like, but when it reaches those few moments of, and Leo obviously sells it really well. And, there's this history with his kids. He just wants to be with his kids. So a lot of that resonates really strongly. And Interstellar, for all the batshit stuff that goes on with it, he kind of brings it home because of how emotionally like rich it is towards the end, especially with Matthew McConaughey, with Anne Hathaway waiting on this planet for somebody to come rescue her, like to get, everybody there, so there's heft there in degrees. Obviously Prestige is like full of emotion. So I think these movies have that. The Dark Knight Rises, obviously I've mentioned, but this movie is I think Nolan just like acting on his like most nerdiest impulses, which is to make like a very like labyrinthine kind of plot, and just make something really really cool, but not emotionally like rich. And I don't know if that's the worst thing for me. It's like, oh, cool, this was an awesome movie to kind of like decode, but I don't know how I'm gonna view this like I view Interstellar or any of the other films in time, and I don't know how many times I'm gonna go back to this. Like Dunkirk, for the emotional kind of angle that it wants to kind of profess, and say that, oh, this is about bringing these guys home. It's based in history, and for me, it's just like, but I'm still not emotionally like charged with it. I don't know, maybe it's not my nation's history, maybe it resonates stronger with people from there and things like that, but this movie, I don't know why it felt like it little inert in that regard, so I don't know how I'm going to view this in time.
I think I read somewhere that he said this film is like a culmination of all the films that he's done, like in one. It's got a bit of Inception, Memento, especially the first scene of Memento, Interstellar, etc. So to have all that and to have like an emotional arc, I don't think it's possible to have all those aspects of all his films and to have that emotional
I think
string that sort
it
of
could
catches
have.
you.
I mean, he could have done it. Maybe it was possible. I think.
Yeah.
It's possible, I suppose, but it's something he has always struggled with. Like, I think the one issue with Interstellar is not that I don't have a thematic problem with the ending, because, of course, love is the answer to everything. It's just that the way it comes in, it feels, it comes in slightly out of left field at the end of Interstellar, where suddenly, it kind of pulls the rug out from under you. It still works, and
I was reading this,
I think it's a great movie.
I was reading a good tweet about it, like where somebody was just like, people kind of complain about Interstellar, about everybody wants it to be scientifically accurate, and Abhimanyu and I keep seeing like movies and video games and all that stuff, which is now using the same mathematical formula that was processed by Interstellar, like the whole black hole and how it's actually, I mean, they didn't have the money to do it like in research, but because it's a movie and they actually use like computers to kind of figure, so that kind of image is like kind of everywhere now, of that black hole. That's its legacy, in many ways. And I was reading this thing.
As it should be. We shouldn't spend money on science, spend money on Christopher Nolan movies.
Yeah, I
make
agree.
sure they come out in theaters.
But that is pretty insane if you think about it. That the black hole kind of know what it looks like because of this film.
Yeah,
right?
It's nuts. Yeah,
it's gonna stand the test of time in science because of that.
Yeah,
which is a pretty high achievement.
And
now, if only
and we also know what people look like now when they're in reverse. Thanks also to Chris Nolan. We have never seen that before. Just remember. Here's the other thing.
Just get people to walk forward and
Here's the other thing. Somebody was just like, how do you expect Interstellar to conclude, right? He has to go into the black hole. Fucking nobody knows what happens when you go into a black hole. So obviously he's going to make up whatever the fuck he wants. And that's what the movie is. So I was like, yeah that's a fair point.
Like, it feels like he didn't build up to the answer as much as he went. Like, at the end, he was like, right, we need an ending. And like threw it in.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and the fact that he goes into a black hole and he enters his own bookshelf, right?
So in Prestige, in the Prestige, for example, the emotional core of the movie and the sort of structure of it are tied together throughout. If you understand this gesture.
Okay.
Sorry,
it's based on just that the jealousy and mad ambition, and that is why the entire movie happens. So there's both an emotional, agree. reason for why the movie functions the way it is, which is why I think it holds up slightly better than, say, an Interstellar.
Definitely. Shravan says Dimple Kapadia was the real star of the movie.
She was really good.
She was good. I am very proud that she's in it. It's quite cool that she's this cool kind of I guess she's like
it wasn't just a cameo.
Gangster. Sorry? Yeah, it wasn't. No, she was like a solid role and everything, man. It was great. Let's talk about so obviously now we've kind of indicated that we have issues with the fact that the movie is kind of missing. Let's talk about some of the characters. What did you guys think of? Is it because the protagonist has no name? We can't assign any kind of value to him. Is that like part of are the characters kind of where it's lacking and they're just kind of mathematical in terms of this is their function, this is what they have to do, that's about it?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a lot of spy genre films, you kind of don't know much about the character, right? You're just sort of there because of the globe trotting and bang bang, boom boom, whatever. But like, that's also another aspect of it. I mean, I think maybe like Skyfall kind of was close to getting that. Was it Skyfall or Spectre where the emotional angle kind of came out a little bit for a Bond film?
All of them are good. Yeah.
I think after
Skyfall was
I think-
emotional.
yeah,
I like
think
Spectre
af-
as well.
Maybe it was Casino Royale which started the whole. People were getting upset that Bond would never have a love interest or whatever, which is just I don't know why people say that, but
Well, that's because they did that in the first film, and then
Yeah.
they kind of like make
yeah.
him.
So maybe the association there is that a spy genre is not meant to be emotionally charged. Apparently, that's what I've some people are
Ruchi, what do you
saying
think?
on the Reddits.
I don't think the characters is what the problem is. I mean, especially not the protagonist. He does what he's supposed to. He's supposed to be cool and kind of mysterious. He's weirdly funny, which is obviously rare for a spy type character. But that's just like him, I guess. That's just John David Washington.
Yeah.
But the only issue that I would have with the character is like Elizabeth Debicki. I don't think that's
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, like, even Kenneth Branagh, were you convinced that he was, like, this kind of menacing villain? Like, I was a little unsure. I wasn't sold on their relationship versus...
They were both campy without the fun of, and I love camp.
Right.
Like, I'm like everything for camp, and they were campy like without intending to be, which is just it comes across as like
That's what we call bad.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they... and it's not... I don't want to blame them. I think they're good actors. I just think that it was not...
I actually think they saved it by being good actors.
Yeah,
all three of
exactly. Yeah,
them.
that's very true. Yeah. I just think that was not enough. Like, there were some arcs to it which I enjoyed, which is the, there's this line in the film where it's like, oh, if I can't have her, no one can, right? Like, that's like the driving force of this villain, which is kind of like one-sided, but like, I get that, at least there's some like driving kind of force to this character, but I don't know if it kind of it didn't work as well.
Exactly. Doesn't it seem like it's just something that was said over and over again, but there's no real like basis for it?
that's
Well,
just
there are two reasons. Why? One is like obviously with her, that's the thing, and the second thing is with the whole fact that he is dying of this whatever cancer and things like that, and if he can't kind of enjoy the world as it is, then he wants to kind of end it. That's like that's basically the two ends of it.
Exactly.
But
the
It
problem
makes
is,
sense,
right?
but you never see any real justification for
Yeah.
why he's so
But
he's so possessively obsessed with her. It's more like he just keeps saying it, or like both of them keep saying it from the start. Like, this is when he was happiest. He's if he can't have me, no one else can, and like
I thought
he'll
it
just
was-
end the world because of it. It seems like a
Right.
tell, don't show kind of situation,
Yeah,
and
I-
I think that's like that kind of happened in all the relationships between characters, as far as I can tell. Like Elizabeth Debicki and her son, Sater, and Elizabeth Debicki, the protagonist, and what is her name? Catherine, right? Cat.
Yeah.
Right. So Cat and the protagonist, it's like for no reason I can particularly suss out. It's just like suddenly she becomes really important to him, and it doesn't seem like it's like
Yeah, that's
like
true.
there's no like romantic situation.
Yeah, we're
There's
not
no,
we're not
like,
clear
I
as to
will-
why they are.
Exactly, because there isn't even any point where like I would totally get it, even if it was something as simple as like I will like like if it becomes a moral question of like I can't sacrifice this one innocent, but it really just becomes like he singled it out and go like, chalo, you're a good student, I will take care of you. And like same with her and her son, where she just like keeps talking about him in like whatever random situation.
You
Like,
mean
something
you
like
mean Robert
the-
Pattinson's character?
Oh Jesus, no, not
Who is apparently
The
Michael
world
Caine
is going
also.
to like.
No,
someone literally
Michael
said
Caine
the
is
world
supposed to
going
be
Ives?
Ives. Yeah, that's the whole
Michael
theory.
Keaton.
Michael Caine is Aaron Taylor Johnson. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's what
I know.
that's what the internet has said, and we have to believe that as like, as fact.
See.
No, but I will say this. Every clunky line in the movie, which like totally takes you out of it, it comes from like either Elizabeth Debicki or Kenneth Branagh. Like it's so odd. Like everything.
How are we on Kenneth Branagh's Russian?
Accent.
Yeah, he's done it before in Jack Ryan, I think. And then when I found out he's gonna be Russian again, I was like,
There-
really? But he's better this time around.
Yeah,
with
of
the
course.
Russian
He's,
accent.
he's worked hard on it. There's a really funny scene where he's like super threatening in like this dinner table kind of scene, right?
which is
And the
the
next
weirdest
scene
line.
they cut to is him sitting in shorts on his board.
Looking at
And
his
I'm
phone.
I died. And we would like,
Looking
like,
at his phone also.
it was so
right?
funny
He's just
because we weren't even like looking at it like, ha, this is so funny. We just looking at each other like, what the fuck? It's so
like,
funny.
but he's
dude.
looking at his phone also.
Yeah, and he's just like a little, like an uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of a strange.
He did have a
decision.
very uncle vibe throughout, but then like uncles are destroying the
It was,
world anyway,
this
so
is true.
it
It
makes
was
sense.
his high 90s trousers, you know?
Yeah.
And the quarter rolled up sleeves.
Yeah, he
His
looks
hair.
kind of like I think it like maybe next to Elizabeth Debicki he's like really short, like she's like super tall.
She's like
Yeah. But all right, so okay, so the characters. I think some of the characters. I think obviously John David Washington was cool. I think Pattinson was great. I think everyone tried to do the best with the material that they had. There was this actually interesting thing about Michael Caine and about how this might be his last like film with Chris Nolan, and it's strange because
The last film
with
forever.
I don't know, I'm not sure because
Yeah, why would he?
so-
He couldn't have said, "I won't do Chris
Yeah.
Nolan films
It's like, I
anymore."
don't like this Nolan guy.
no, it's not. So apparently it's because
That was the last straw.
there's this one thing where John David Washington, the protagonist, has to go meet him, and he has this whole thing, and at the end he says goodbye, Sir Michael. His name is Michael also in the film, and his last line to him is goodbye, Sir Michael, and it felt and apparently it's like, is this like maybe his last film with Nolan?
Is this a
or something?
Reddit?
No, it's just like I don't know, it's like an interesting kind of thing that he's never like kind of really. It was just like a strange little thing that happens. And the thing about like his films are they're always kind of loaded with these like little lines and things like that. I mean this whole Sator Square. I mean like lots of the character names are just named off of that. This is kind of like weird little Easter eggs.
I mean,
Yeah, kinda
yeah.
cool.
Again, if you just like quite literally take a thing and stick it into the movie, like your character names being the protagonist and Sator and so on, that's not like. I mean, I wouldn't pat myself on the back too much about that. You took a thing and you like that's like
No
like-
one is saying that.
like the professor in Tintin is called calculus, but if it was and that's fun. But in a Christopher Nolan movie, like dude, get
Bro.
this. Calculus
Bro.
is like a branch of math, bro, and he's a scientist, right? Isn't that insane?
But who said this?
You are.
Bro. Look, haddock is a fish, and he's a sea captain. You don't get it, man.
Yeah, you don't get it. It's a mind fuck.
No, I was talking about the Sir Michael
His
Caine
name
thing.
is Getafix, and he's the druid.
His name is actually Automatic Suchut.
Wait, isn't automatics like a mechanic or something?
No,
I don't know. I forget who it
his
is.
name is in the French comics.
Ooh, the druid.
Yeah, he's not Getafix in that.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
be like super hipster about it. But listen, no, I'm talking about Sir Michael Caine and the fact that
Where did you
Yeah.
read this theory? I've never seen it before.
yeah, I was reading about it.
We got a predestination name drop.
Oh, Anuj Mehta is in the comments. He says, "Internet is steadily reducing the number of characters in Tenet to the point where every character is just another version of the protagonist." Like predestination. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, like ultimately, they all could just be Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
I do like that theory, though. I think that was cool, and I think it
And Robert Pattinson is Christopher Nolan, if I'm not mistaken.
of course.
Yeah, but so is Tom Hardy in Inception. So what does that mean?
Fair enough.
It's the same universe, guys. Anyway, I do like that theory though of the whole thing, and it made sense. I told you this like while we were watching the movie. It was just like there were too many nods to his character, kind of like being weirdly like protective of Elizabeth Debicki's character, whether and there was just
Yeah.
like, and there were like too many like things where he's just like, oh, do you want to know my whole life story? And they never like complete those lines, and I was like, oh, fucking just say something about it, and they just never do. And then I was just like, all right, okay, cool. I guess this is just one of those Nolan things where he's just like, oh, okay, cool. It's like, oh, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it just opens up a can of worms in terms of like how the fuck did he get
Exactly.
back?
And like, if this is the basis and the justification for why the relationships between the characters work, then put it in the movie. This is like us
Exactly.
doing Christopher Nolan's work for him, going like, no, this is why the movie
But
can
bro,
make sense.
Bro, you don't get it, bro.
Bro,
You
bro,
don't
bro,
get it.
listen, bro. Let me
Why can't
explain
you
a
finish
temporal
it?
pincer.
Please do.
You are a temporal pincer.
Dude, I love temporal pincers, okay? I think
favorite
about
temporal
life now.
pincer.
I think about life only in temporal pincers now.
Live in that
That's
temporal
true.
pincer life. Hashtag.
Yeah, the whole movie is a temporal pincer, and we've only seen Tenet Part 1.
That's true.
That's how
But
it
bro,
is.
Tenet is part 1 and part 2 at the same time.
It is.
You just don't get it.
It is. It is. That's
Yeah.
what the whole opera scene is.
Next one, we skip straight
The
to
sequel of Tenet
Tenet.
is in the opera scene. My favorite was this one article where it says that, oh, did you know that Christopher Nolan, this is so good, Christopher Nolan has put an Easter egg for Tenet, but in Memento. Like a reverse Easter egg in time. And it's just like, because the first scene is like, when Guy Pearce shoots this guy backwards, Joe Pantoliano, no? I guess it's Joe Pantoliano? Who is it? Yeah, it is, right? He's like, that reverse thing is supposed to be him catching the bullet. And so Nolan knew this back then, and he put an Easter egg in the movie before Tenet, like Tenet is supposed to. So, yeah.
Insane.
That's
But
my
that's
favorite.
what you sound
That's my
like.
favorite article.
That's what you sound like right now, talking about the Michael Caine.
I love that. I love, dude. Hello, I'm a fan of these things, dude. This is what makes me happy. I love this shit. I love Easter eggs, guys.
So Anuj is saying this is potentially happening in someone's head, like Lost, I guess.
Post credit scene sees us zoom out of the
I've
Tenet
never
world.
seen Lost.
It's Chris Nolan.
Spoiler for Lost,
Chris
by the way.
Nolan is having a seizure. He's in the hospital, and this is all happening in his head.
Yeah.
He's having a seizure.
Guys,
He had a seizure when he went off on the HBO Max. That's
That
what
is
he was
true.
having a seizure
I've
in
never
real
seen the man so livid, and it was text I was reading. Yeah.
If only he wrote something as good for the movie, Tenet, as like the line which was like, I went to sleep thinking I worked for the greatest movie studio, woke up working for the worst
Streaming service.
So
If that was in Tenet, you would have been like, all right.
That's solid gold.
Such a burn.
That's solid gold.
Yeah. So in Tenet, a lot of people are saying that the stuff that's backwards kind of looks like it looks like someone acting backwards. Like it looks pretty obvious. Like a lot of people saying the fight scene.
It does look like
It
that.
looks like
backwards.
someone is just acting backwards. Like it's, with the car stuff also, a lot of people like it just looks like a car going backwards. Like it doesn't look like it's like forwards and backs. Would you agree also? Like
I don't know.
Like the choreography. Would
so-
you say the choreography is completely smooth, or you can tell that?
I think in a
it's just
first
like a guy
viewing,
acting backwards.
in a singular viewing, you don't really pay attention because it's
Yeah.
kind of cool to look at. I thought it was really neat that they didn't just do what Mayadu, the Telugu film that is coming out now, did, which is just like, or like what movies do, which is like reverse the footage. They
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
shot it forwards with the actors doing the actions backwards, and they also shot it forwards and then they reversed it. So they had
like
two
Twin Peaks.
types of
Like Twin Peaks. That's what they
exactly
call
like
it.
Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought that was kind of cool that they did that.
And they used what so what is the distinction between the stuff that was the actors acting backwards and the stuff that was
So
just
they would
reversed?
shoot 4 sets. So okay, for example, the scene where they're at the airport, at the Freeport, and they are like, and the protagonist fights with the man in the suit and everything like that. So they shot that scene 4 times. So once with John David Washington doing all the motions forward. Then they shot him doing it backwards. Then they put him in the other suit and they shot it from the perspective of the man in the suit forwards, where he's moving all the movements forwards and the other person is doing it backwards, and then him doing it backwards. And then they cut between those two things, depending on which part of the movie it was supposed to appear in. So
yeah, but why? Like,
so because they didn't want to
asking, like,
just
what is
have the motion, like they didn't want it to just look like we're watching a reversed film, and they wanted to look like we are watching like basically when the other character kind of comes in, when we see it later on in the film, it does look like somebody was going in a forward motion like the reverse entropy thing that he's trying to create, where it looks like
So
somebody's.
wouldn't that entail shooting it forward twice in both directions and then reverse one of them the other way?
No, I mean,
That
well,
would be
the scene happens twice in the film, so that's why it has 4 times. I mean, like they would use, depending on the cut that they want to take, which one looks like more,
Okay.
like required for the scene. It's just like the behind the scenes things that Abhimanyu and I watched. It is really impressive though, man. Like it is an insane amount of detail that has gone
And I
into
think
like
it's the
shooting
first
this film.
time they've reversed IMAX footage, because usually going through projector it runs forward.
Yeah, they reversed it while
Right.
shooting, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Reverse it. So
Oh.
they were like, they'd be kind of screwed if they messed up the footages. If someone put the forward footage in the backward section, like in the catalog, because then your editing is gonna go for a
Yeah, so
complete
it's
toss.
just
So labeling was very important apparently.
again as I think it's almost just a challenge now to Nolan for him, like, can I do this, like can I make something that is really like difficult to make, just as a challenge. And then yes, of course there's a compromise when it comes to like the story or the characters and things like that. Like it's not even that important, you know, as we get to the third act of the film, which is arguably the most confusing bit, right? Like when they have the 2 teams going in and there's this whole military kind of
Yeah.
Team Fortress kind of, you know, capture the flag situation. It becomes really complicated there. Who is who? How do you identify things? And you're not really kind of supposed to understand everything that's going on. It's supposed to be a little bit of a thing. And I know that everybody's watching the movie is just like, what the fuck? And we were also just like, until that point, we were just like, cool, yeah, this movie, yeah, I think we got it. And then that scene happened.
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
fuck this. So it's not supposed to, for him, it's just like, it's not even important that the plot is like he has to take this thing and put it in the earth and then bury it so that nobody can find it or whatever the fuck. It's just like, we just need a big act at the end, and like how interesting it would be. I'm sure it's probably more detailed in his head, but he can't translate it as, it's not simple to translate, right?
Yeah, and it's such a weirdly specific failing that has happened twice now, and I genuinely do not get it. It's the same issue with the ending of Inception, where after a movie filled with spectacular set pieces, which Tenet also is, like each of those, like the plane sequence or the sequence in the walls or the turnstile sequence, all great. But then you kind of throw it away with this like giant, very confusing, messy war, like giant groups of people like rushing into buildings stuff, which is very pedestrian, because you see that kind of stuff in like most movies, but you're trying to complicate it in some way. Same with Inception. So many like visually stunning set pieces, and then at the end you're like, yeah, okay, now shoot at each other in the snow. Why? Do more of the same cool shit.
I think the Inception scene, I feel like in retrospect, you know, flows a lot better when you compare it to this
like,
final
it's
sequence.
Fine. Like in the case of Inception, it still works, but it is not as high a high as the previous moments in the movie. It kind of feels like it ends on a bit of a dip. In Inception,
it becomes too like, what's the, you know, not pedestrian is a way of looking at it, but like, you know, like this too this whole militaristic kind of like approach to the film.
Right. Yeah, and it's so strange because it comes out of nowhere every time. Nobody talks about that sequence of Inception.
Is Nolan just a military fan? Like, this is why he did Dunkirk?
It's kind of
I really don't get it.
In Inception, they're wearing white and snow. In Tenet, it's like a desert-ish kind of thing where they're wearing sort of
Camo.
khaki camo. Yeah, so
it's like such a weirdly specific thing to. Like,
he's just a fan of the services, man.
But also, he doesn't want you to see them. So
He's a patriot.
yeah. Next time will be
guess,
like an
but-
underwater fight.
Make like Dunkirk 2, whatever. Make up a story. I don't know.
Dunkirk too.
So weird.
Returns.
Nobody talks about the snow sequence in Inception. It's like it's about everyone talks about every.
Oh,
other
I only talk about it because they are so sure they're gonna resurrect a man using a defibrillator. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, again, which
They're just like
which is a whole other
100%.
thing.
She's like so convinced. She's like, obviously, just resurrect him. I'll just go down. You resurrect him from the dead
Once again, proving that
with a
Nolan doesn't get
defibrillator.
hard.
But my point is like, I don't give a shit about like this kind of stuff. Like, it's fine. They can resurrect him with a defibrillator. Fucking go for it. As far as the fucking movie is fine, it's cool. Like, I'm into it. But then when it gets too like heavy on the specifics, where it's just like, and this guy does not sweat the details, right? Like, he just like, he's like, cool. This is it. This is the movie now, and that's all. All right, Dinkar has left us. I think he was too upset. So it's
Yeah, I'm
now.
about to leave as well. It can just be the two of you.
Ruchi, tell us about your thoughts on Tenet, on the final scene, and yeah, just tell us what do you think of the
Dude, so by
of the
the
timey
time-
wiminess.
By the time when we got to, he's back again. So by the time we got to the end, I was just like, dude, it's so complicated. By then, so many like plot specific clunky things that happen. Especially like my favorite thing is like John David Washington wondering out loud. He's like, why? But why would he do this? And she's like, oh, Bill, he's about to die. He's like, oh, okay. And that's like one line. That's one line in the entire thing to explain. And
Oh
then-
yeah. There's so many things in Nolan's films that if you're, it's like very big leaps of faith in the plot, but with the most economical dialogue, which is just like,
Which
here's
is
a line,
Basically,
cool.
Don't try and understand it, feel it, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
whole
Can
like
you really run a film on that?
on vibes.
Yeah, I guess.
I love a vibe.
Dude,
Feel
so do
vibes.
I. Yeah, I think like Prestige is a vibe, right? Like it's like cool. This is the scene. It's dope. I love it. Let's read some comments. Rohan Chadda says the third act has some major pacing issues, and for a movie that deals with time, actually, that's
Yeah.
that is
That's
kind
a-
of
yeah, that's a bit of a poison pill situation.
yeah. Shahab Khan says military fan Nolan should next make a Transformers movie.
Yes. Oh my god, I would love to see.
Yeah, it is
Why
strange. Like
not?
if
But
it's
the
so weird.
Transformer would have like a dead wife or something.
Oh god. It's so weird. He's made a military film, and it took it took Tenet for me to go like, does this guy really like army shit? Like, what is happening? I don't know.
He
It's kinda
just played a
strange.
bunch with army figures.
Maybe he's just
What
like,
a
yeah,
weird
yeah.
decision.
Yeah, it's
Well, good for
The
him.
other really funny moment in the movie, which was pointed out by one of my favorite like internet journalists. Her name's Hunter Harris. She was like, yeah, the funniest line in Tenet has to be like when he goes like, all right, what he's about to do, it's about to like annihilate the earth, like everyone's about to die. And Elizabeth Vicky goes like, including my son.
Yeah.
hey, a mother's love, guys.
I mean,
And Ruchi, I don't know if I mentioned this. Her son is Robert Pattinson.
right. Neil, yeah. What's up with his accent,
son-
brother? Why did he have to have like a Etonian sort of? Why did he?
Because he
He's
apparently
Chris
changed his
Nolan
accent for this
and
film, right?
he's Elizabeth Debicki's son. Come on, man.
Why couldn't he have his normal, like, when he's like in interviews, he's speaking like he's a total punk from like London, and then in the movie he's like so proper. Why?
Because he's Christopher Nolan, and Christopher Nolan ain't no punk.
That's true.
All right.
Yeah.
But he also wears a dirty suit, apparently. When he's at the Bombay Yacht Club, we watched it
Yeah.
behind the scenes.
It's because India's.
No, we watched it in the behind the scenes, and the guy, I can't remember his name, but the guy who makes all the costumes. He was like,
The guy's
His-
so funny.
yeah, he's like his suit is a little dirty because he's been wearing the same suit over and over again. So if you look
Oh.
closely, like it's that
No.
khaki brown is like slightly, ruffled up and got some stains and stuff on it.
No, I think there was
But
a whole not plot point, but like the fact that another theory about why he's her son is because she's like obviously really like she comes from like an affluent background and things like that, and so he knows how to dress well as opposed to John David Washington, who when he goes to see Sir Michael Caine's character, he says, oh, you're not going, you can't fool anybody with that suit on just because you.
He's a spy. They train them.
No. My point is that that's what they say in the film. He says that just because you're wearing a suit doesn't mean like that's what is gonna give you like a good cover for
Yeah,
being
but
like
why
a
does
rich
Michael
dude.
Caine have to say that? He's a.
Because Michael Caine is Robert Pattinson. How many times are we gonna do this?
Michael Caine is Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson is Elizabeth Debicki's son.
And he's Chris
Elizabeth
Nolan.
Debicki's son is Christopher Nolan. How is this
So
so
Michael
hard to
Caine's
get?
Chris Nolan. So of course he's gonna be in the other movies.
No, you can't skip parts of the chain like that.
Yeah. But in any
It
case,
only flows one way.
in any case, okay, let's talk about why. Let's talk about the thing that we're most excited about this film.
Yeah, the plan, right? The
No,
song.
not the plan. No, are you mad? One second, I read those lyrics, okay?
I
And
know.
after reading Nolan's interview about Travis, it was just like, oh, this guy, he understands so much about the movie. His brain,
doesn't
his
understand.
fucking... And then I read the lyrics. I was like, what the fuck is this? Anyway, point
It's
is,
probably just Ludwig Göransson.
Can we do a versus battle of the plan at the end of Tenet and Venom at the end of
Yes.
Venom?
But then it has
Hundo.
to be Eminem, and I don't know if like.
Veminem. Anyway, listen, here's the other thing. I want to talk about
Venom,
one
yeah.
thing. Let's talk about the India sequence. How are we on this? How are we...
Can I say?
How are we feeling
one
about how
last
they
thing before we
represented
skip on to that, just to
Bay
put
City?
a button on this whole Robert Pattinson is her son angle. If they had worked that into the movie and explained it clearly and well, then
Yeah.
this would automatically jump up like 20% in being a better, more sensible movie. It's like you took the most important piece of information, if it is even true, and then decided to drop it from the movie. Doesn't make sense.
No, I don't think it's... I don't think... Yeah, he doesn't...
Or even if the kid at the end has that tag or whatever, that thing that hangs off
Yeah.
the bag. If like just a subtle thing.
No, but I think my
go.
point is that there are
Hey,
more than enough
what if
clues in the
Vader
film.
never told
But the
Luke about their relationship, and it was just an Easter egg, like a fan theory
exactly,
that
yeah,
got
that's
to
my
work
point.
out
Like
20 years
there
later.
are a lot of these kind of like clues, so to speak, to kind of indicate that that's the truth or like that this is what the intention is. But you're right, it's not part
They
of the
aren't
plot.
in the movie.
Yeah,
They're
it's
deciphering
no,
them
it's all
out.
in the movie. Like I'm saying that there are enough like lines that indicate that like there are enough allusions to it that kind of are trying to say the same thing.
Pick up on that while you're watching the movie.
I did, yeah, but the point is that it's like like Dinkar is saying, it's arguably the heart of the film if it was given a chance, like if they
Yeah.
kind of made it a little more present, then it could
Yeah.
because that scene at the end when he says goodbye to him, he says, "Oh, this is the start of a beautiful friendship." That can be an emotionally resonant part,
Yeah.
and it is it's sold well because they're all good actors and blah blah blah. But yeah, if we kind of knew that the stakes were that high, that this is like. The protagonist is going to go and form Tenet, and he's going to raise this guy as his, as his kind of cohort, and then, all of that, so and so, yeah. But yeah, I feel like it's missing that emotional piece in this film, and yes, of course, there's a lot of
foreshadowed,
clunky.
but then forgot the shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, wait, 1 second. Let's talk about Bombay. What about
Yeah, now
Bombay?
let's talk about India. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it was really cool.
I loved it.
you know, it's
Well
really funny. Again, we watched him behind the scenes, and Chris Nolan was like, "Luckily, we got permission to shoot like, scenes in a helicopter in Bombay because that's usually not allowed." And like, that just got us thinking. Obviously, like they've paid off the government just a little bit just to shoot, from a helicopter. It
That
just-
Nolan money
Yeah.
hits different.
yeah, but I've
about
noticed
the-
that actually. I can't remember the last.
1 second,
TV show-
you can take a helicopter.
You can,
And
yes.
shoot-
I'm
and
pretty
shoot
sure I've
like-
seen
Shoot, I don't know. I
several-
mean, they had to attach an IMAX camera to it, so that's
Yeah.
going to be a
Perhaps
different
the
situation.
IMAX camera is what makes it different, but you've had helicopter shots of Bombay before, I'm sure. Not
Yeah, but-
that specific one that's used in this movie, which is where it.
It's coming from
where it
Haji Ali.
enters- Correct. I don't know if you're allowed to fly in that zone. Maybe that's what he was referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that is you're not allowed to build high rises in that area either. So maybe it's all connected in some way.
If Nolan
You can
wanted,
take
he could
aerial
have.
shots in Bombay. What do you like? I'm sure you can. I can't recall any off the top of my head, but it must have happened.
There are like aerial shots of Bombay, of course there are. But
I mean, you're not allowed to shoot at train stations and stuff, but that's different.
I've shot.
What?
Sorry.
Arrested.
Nothing, sorry.
FIR. Arrested.
All right. So yeah,
You can shoot in.
we
train
can shoot
stations
in
as well, I
Bombay.
think.
We
Yeah.
have seen other films.
We've
If I'm not
invented an
mistaken,
industry that
Sacred
does
Games
just
has
that.
some shots of Bombay, which are aerial shots of Bombay as well, right? I remember that to be a thing, if I'm not mistaken.
100%. Is not the son of one of the Thakres also an aerial photographer, and like he put out like a book and accompanying film, which is all just aerial shots of Bombay. That is true. Then there is that there's that Nat Geo series called India from Above. which
Yes,
also has
exactly.
tons of,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like what? Plus, hello, there's a ride in Imagica which takes you where they sit you at a height and then project footage of India.
You're right.
Aerial footage of India.
And
at the
there's
bottom.
even
I'm
the
sure
Mr.
Bombay
India
was in
ride
there.
takes you in a virtual, trip of Bombay. So that's
So
a
Christopher
thing.
Nolan is a liar.
You guys just did a Tenet right now. You know that, right?
Yeah, we
Because
did.
the first podcast episode is Magica. And,
Correct.
That's
And
not the
it's
first
great,
one. It was first recorded one, but we only
and
put
this
it out
is
as the
the
sixth.
latest
pilot.
recording of said podcast. So, or whatever.
That's true.
Speaking of
And
India, what
the
do
Geek
you
Fruit
think of
podcast
Himay?
was
Yeah,
a was a
this-
was a
yes.
6-year
Yes.
temporal pincer.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about our man, Mr. Yesterday? He was pretty solid.
Yeah.
And the
It's
two
alright.
scenes
It's
you
alright. Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
I enjoyed. All the India sequences really well done. I particularly like, that terracotta style flooring that every
That mosaic kind
uh,
of score.
that
Yeah.
mosaic vibe
Love
that
that.
every terrace in
I was
Bombay
just like,
has.
oh.
Yeah.
And like when I
So
see
nice
it in
that,
life,
like,
I'm like, oh, I kind of hate it. But when I see it in the movie, I was like,
in
oh.
the movie, you're like, okay, I guess it has some value.
Especially it's so prevalent on terraces in that part of the city, right? Like that.
It's in every single terrace. It's like you don't get terraces without it.
Yeah.
It's a very Bombay thing. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Did we have a blue tarp on a bunch of roofs also in those aerial shots?
They did, yeah, they did. Of course, dude.
Nailed it then.
They
Perfect.
nailed the Bombay vibe. And the Royal Yacht Club looking fine as ever. The establishment of yore.
We underused in it.
Underused, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, 60%
Like,
of
you could easily
the
have shot that
IMAX
stuff on a-
footage is of Robert Pattinson's face.
Yeah.
not complaining.
Yeah.
That
can
that's
I ask
one
you?
tough thing about shooting in Bombay,
Huh.
that like the buildings are stunning. Like Yacht Club is a great location, but he can't, like, what establishing shot you'll take of Bombay Yacht Club from outside? From the outside, it looks like like there's a panwala. At the
There's a Pizza
bottom
Express
and-
opposite. Yeah, you can't.
Exactly.
yeah.
It doesn't look as grand from the outside as beautiful as it is on the inside.
This is true.
On the inside, it looks very much like a set because it's so good looking.
Tell us one thing. You know when they kind of reverse bungee jump back onto the building, right? Like in that
When
scene.
they temporal pincer up to the.
Isn't
terrace,
it
yeah.
like that's what I was wondering? Like everything in this movie is like catching bullets, reversing this, reversing that. And I thought, oh, they've used the fucking Tenet technology in this thing, and that's why they're going like backwards. But no, they're just doing a reverse bungee jump.
Yeah, I think it's just like it's an illusion rather than an actual analogy.
The
or
other
whatever.
problem with the dialogue is like he's so loose with like he's constantly interchanging like reverse and inverse, and they're not even like the same thing, and they just keep using. I'm like, it's not the same.
I think the entropy
Yeah,
of
like
which
he
you
uses
referred to.
reverse and inverse as if they're like the same thing when they're not.
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
reverse
they're not, yeah.
is- yeah.
I think the reverse is for the colloquial way of saying, oh, things are going
But
backwards.
it's not
But
good.
the
You just don't
the
get it, bro.
the
Bro.
what's the
It's
actor
like, bro.
what's the actor's name of the scientist who plays
Clement.
Fleur?
Clement Poisey?
Yeah, Clement Posey. Yeah.
Fleur.
So Fleur. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she is she's like a scientist in the future, has figured out how to do it, how to kind of reverse stuff, and she's sending things back. Isn't that just her as well?
Oh, is it? And she is Robert Pattinson?
It's possible.
Christopher Nolan. She's Christopher Nolan, yeah.
She's supposed to be Christopher
Oh,
Nolan.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And her son is Michael Caine.
If only he'd done this movie
Oh, fine.
in if the entire movie was set in India and you could just use the term ulta pulta.
Dude, wait, Mayadu is coming out.
Yeah,
Anyway. All right.
that'll nail it.
So, out of 10, Nit, huh? Tell us what is your score, and what would you give us your Rotten Tomatoes kind of little blurb?
As an experience, a solid 8.5. As a movie, like a 6 or a 5.
Okay, and a 5?
Yeah, like I think it's fine. It's not.
A 5? Like there are 5 movies, man. I just saw the New Mutants. That's a fucking 4.
That's
Well, I'm not grading on like
That's a
the
one.
scale of every movie ever made.
Yeah.
I'm talking just like Christopher Nolan.
No movies.
What is? On
Yeah,
Christopher
yeah,
Nolan.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So 10 being Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Cool.
10 Kirk.
And Ruchi, what about you?
7, begrudgingly, but 7. So it's not awful. I won't say I didn't enjoy it. It's fine, but it definitely.
Yeah.
I don't think it's awful either. Sorry.
It's not. Isn't the experience of watching it like really fun though? I genuinely enjoyed like large parts of the movie. Even like the mental like gymnastics of like how does this make sense is all really fun.
It's
just
fun.
that
Guys,
doesn't
I think-
necessarily add up to a great film.
I think we would have all
Still a
scored
great
it 9
experience.
if we all went together to watch it.
Yeah, of course, that's what I was
but
saying.
like purely experience-wise, it's like
But
you
then
go on a
we're
roller
adding
coaster.
that extra 2 points to it, not Christopher Nolan, right? That's
Yeah,
all.
like
Yeah.
when
No,
you
I'm
get
saying
off
the
Mr.
movie
India
going
ride
experience is a communal one, as Christopher Nolan has said.
When you get off the Mr. India ride at Magica, you go, that was a fun ride, which is what I would say about Tenet. You don't say like, oh shit, the story of the Mr. India ride blew
Oh
my
my
mind.
word! All right, and Abhimanyu, what about you?
8.5.
11.
8.5 out of 10.
8.5 out of 10. Okay, great.
What about you?
Dinka
What
rate
about
the
you?
song.
I would give it at least an 8 or 7.5 if not 8. I give it 7.5 I think because it kind of I'm still I'm still like confused about a few things.
How
Not
does
the
that
plot.
work? How does that work if I'm giving it a 7 and you guys have been raving about it and you're giving it a 7?
Oh, but I love everything, Richie. I love everything with a passion. It's not my fault. This is just how I am. Even if I don't like something, I still give it like anyway. But my point is,
Yes.
I think it was a thoroughly enjoyable experience. I will say, Chris Nolan does have a certain way of making things exciting, and like he does whatever it is. There's still dialogue to be had around the films that he makes, and I think that's admirable. And he does put a really interesting kind of spin on things. So Tenet may not be his best film, but he has lots to do before he retires, and he has a great catalog. So for those who haven't seen it, please watch Tenet. Please watch his other films, and thank you so much everyone for joining another whiz cracking episode of the Nerditorium Live.
What's a whiz crack?
I don't know. It's like a Roald Dahl term.
Is
mind fuck.
Christopher Nolan.
Harry Potter on crack.
Great. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Goodbye.